add to the number 5 to get to 0, and you might already know this, but I'll just draw it out. So let's say we have a number line right over here, and 0 is sitting right over there, and we are already sitting here at 5. So to go from 5 to 0, we have to go 5 spaces to the left. We have to go 5 spaces to the left, and if we're going 5 spaces to the left, that means that we are adding -5. So if we add -5 right here, then that is going to get us back to 0. That is going to get us back right over here to 0, and you probably already knew this. And this is a pretty, maybe common sense thing right here, but there's a fancy word for it called the additive inverse property. And all the additive, I'll just write it down. I think it's kind of ridiculous that it's given such a fancy word for such a simple idea. Additive inverse property. And it's just the idea that if you have a number and you add the additive inverse of the number, which is what most people call the negative of the number, if you add the negative of the number to your number, you're going to get back to 0 because they have the same size. You could view it that way. They both have a magnitude of 5, but this is going 5 to the right, and then you're going 5 back to the left. Similarly, if you started, let me draw another number line right over here. If you started at -3, if you're starting right over here at -3, so you've already moved 3 spaces to the left, and someone says, well, what do I have to add to -3? What do I have to add to -3 to get back to 0? Well, I have to move 3 spaces to the right now, and 3 spaces to the right is in the positive direction, so I have to add +3. So if I add +3 to -3, I will get 0. So in general, if I have any number, if I have 1,725,314, and I say, what do I need to add to this to get back to 0? Well, I have to essentially go in the opposite direction. I have to go in the leftwards direction. So I'm going to subtract the same amount, or I could say I'm going to add the additive inverse, or I'm going to add the negative version of it. So this is going to be the same thing as adding -1,725,314, and that'll get me back to 0. Similarly, if I say, what number do I have to add to -7 to get to 0? Well, if I'm already at -7, I have to go 7 to the right, so I have to add +7. And this is going to be equal to 0. And this all comes from the general idea, 5 plus -5, 5 plus the negative of 5, or 5 plus the additive inverse of 5, you can just view this as another way of 5 minus 5. And if you have 5 of something and you take away 5, you've learned many, many years ago that that is just going to get you to 0.